welcome to RedPanda's podcast, officially episode 1, point A, 1.A.1. Subtitle. I think we've done one before, but this will be our official first. So I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you came.
Well, thanks for having me, Dave.
No problem. All right, Heidi, tell us a little bit about Tech Impact.
Sure. So Tech Impact is a nonprofit. We kind of have 3 arms of what we do. So we do managed services for nonprofits, so IT service desk type stuff for nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Technology Learning Center, so that does a lot of research and education for nonprofits on IT support. And so it's kind of like consumer reports for nonprofits. So they'll start looking at different programs and make recommendations. They do a lot of educational pieces there. But then my arm, and my favorite arm, obviously, because that's where I am, is our workforce development programs. So I oversee our workforce development programs around the country. And we have a variety of different programs. So I'm based in Las Vegas, but oversee them in Pennsylvania, Wilmington, Delaware, and in Las Vegas. And we do things like IT help desk training, and we do CX Works, which is the customer experience training for people who are going into call center work or customer service work. But then we also have things like apprenticeships up in Delaware, and we do intermediary services in Delaware. So we actually do the wraparound services for individuals who are trying to make a career transition or trying to make their way into the IT world. And then we work with educational providers to do the training for those folks. So we do a variety of different things. Our most popular in the program that we're most well known for is our IT Works program. So that's the program that Dave has been involved with and is my passion project as well at this point. So that is the IT help desk training for folks who are 18 to 26-year-olds who do not have a bachelor's degree. So it helps folks get their foot in the door in the workforce in IT, helps them develop a career, helps build a lifelong opportunity for them and their families to get into IT and have a meaningful career. And that's where you've come into play, Dave, and why we've become friends as well.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's more than work related, but yeah, it's been great.
Yep.
So how did Tech Impact find you?
They exploited my weaknesses.
Which are?
So I was over.
Please share with this podcast. What are your weaknesses?
My values seem to be my weakness, I guess. But I was over at UNLV, and I was very happy at UNLV. I was working with executives in the hospitality college, so we were doing non-credit executive development type programs. And Pat, our CEO, invited me out for coffee one day. I was like, sure, Pat. Like, I've known him for a couple of years, just kind of ancillary type of relationship. We had worked on a few different things, and whenever people were in our space, because we kind of did similar things, I would send him, hey, it looks like CSN's launching a new program or things like that. And that's all the contact we'd had. But he had reached out to me and said, hey, let's go for coffee. And I said, sure, no problem. And he told me about the position that he had open. And I said, Pat, your timing is terrible. Like, I'm perfectly happy in my job. And then we kept having coffee. He's like, oh, do you know anybody that would be a good fit? And I was like, oh, I'll think about it. And then eventually he's like, Heidi, tell me about how working with executives fits your values. I'm like, oh, Pat. So shoved a knife right into my heart, and he was exactly right, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I'm very happy to be where I am, and it really fits my values, and I love all the folks that I work with. I love our leadership. I love the students we get to work with. Like, it's amazing, Dave, and I'm extremely happy with my job and with the folks that I have around me that are doing all this really great work and really care about the work that we're doing, and all the volunteers.
Yeah,
people like you who come in and really bring it home and make sure that these students have their opportunities in our community and really care about doing good for our folks. So I love it.
Yeah, that's great. And it shows. I mean, you can always tell when I'm around you. Even though you're working, it doesn't really seem or appear like you're generally working.
Yeah.
Because it shows that you love what you do.
I do. And I get to work with really great people. Like, that's the beauty of it, is the people who really care all kind of come together and work together to better our community. And those are the people I want to surround myself with.
Yeah, everybody I've met at Tech Impact has been amazing, like really amazing people, not just employees. You can tell that they work at Tech Impact, but just great people. So I really loved it. I'm really happy that you're our first podcast, because you're definitely my favorite org that I've worked with thus far. And the reason it is because you fit right up that alley, you fit right up that niche that we have, right? Because we are an MSP. We
Yeah.
provide a lot of services, IT related, cybersecurity related here in Las Vegas. But the moment that Tech Impact reached out to us, believe it or not, was 6 months before you came on board.
Mhm.
And we didn't quite understand the mission like we should have, just due to time frame, work, and the timing wasn't there. But when you came on and were able to explain it to me what you do, correlated with getting to know some of the students
Mhm.
and some of the people that were involved in offering an internship for them, it not only feels like a natural fit, I know it's a natural fit. It just works. And luckily for us, because we already volunteer at the Just One Project, which is
Mhm.
another amazing organization,
Mhm.
and we'll have Mandy on soon.
Yay.
But when we were in that organization, I've told you before, my passion, my mission is to help underserved communities,
Mhm.
teenagers. There's a certain segment that touches my heart, and it's right. What is attending? It's directly in line with what Tech Impact does. So while I was teaching or volunteering at the Just One Project, I told you I didn't know what to do to further
Mhm.
any interest that these kids had. So I was garnering the interest, I was creating interest, I was doing these things, and then what?
Yep.
So when you came on, I knew it was a perfect fit. So
Yeah, it's a
luckily,
perfect
it's been
alignment
great.
of,
Yeah,
yep, perfect alignment. They're like, here are these kids that haven't had a ton of opportunity to learn. You get them passionate about it. We get them prepared for the workforce, and then you take them in, and we're like, here you go, Dave. Like, and
yeah,
so you get to shepherd them into a new career field, and like, it's a meaningful change for their entire life.
yeah.
It's cool to be
For
a part
those
of.
for those kids and the ones that luckily so far we've been able to work with in our internship program and hire one of them so far, May, which has
Mhm.
been fantastic. I told you before I felt very lucky because when both of them, Ricky and May, came in, I knew immediately they had been trained properly. They'd been given the skills they needed. Their interviewing skills were above and beyond anything that we've had. And I knew that was because Tech Impact had trained them.
Yeah.
It was noticeable, and it made the world of difference in hiring them, is seeing they had been trained, seeing they had experience, but also seeing that what they needed to know going to work for somebody or somewhere, they had that skill set, they had that mindset to know this is for real. I am trained to take upon this job. It wasn't just a job, it was something that they would wanted to do, right? So I love that part. But for you, what's been the most rewarding part of working at Tech Impact so far?
That's a good question. I think the most rewarding part for me is that I even though I'm pretty removed from a lot of the impact on our students, but being able to see the impact that our staff have on the students and the stories that I hear from the students of how meaningful the relationships they have with the staff that we have working for us makes all the difference. Because they get up at those graduations and they talk about their how they came to know Tech Impact and their experience coming through, and to know that the folks that I get to work with have that big of an impact on an individual in their future is extremely rewarding. And I love the student stories. I love being involved with that, but I'm pretty removed from it. And so being able to work with a team of people who are so passionate about helping the students and making sure that they find their path forward is really meaningful for me.
Yeah, yeah. I can see it in May. I saw it in Ricky. I can see it in all the students. They went to the way they talk about art. It made me want to get to know art. Right?
Art is seriously the best. And they're
Yeah.
all the best. Seriously, they all care so much. It's
Yeah.
so funny because art takes it personally. He takes the.
You can tell.
And so the test
Yeah.
thing. So we had almost 90% pass the national certification.
That's amazing.
This past time,
That's
which
amazing.
is huge.
Yeah.
So now the pressure's on, and he's just taking it personally. I don't know if I could deliver on that. I'm like, Art, you are amazing. You're doing great work. Of course you can. And if you don't get to 90%, that's okay. He really cares.
You can tell everybody has an impact on the kids or the students that go through there. A long-lasting impact, not something that will be forgotten, but something that could actually change their life. Right? All right. So if somebody wanted to get involved with Tech Impact, other than RedPanda Systems, how would they get involved with Tech Impact? What can be done, or what can they do? What are some ways that Tech Impact can help other organizations or nonprofits?
Yeah, well, there's tons of different options. So depending on what their needs are is what we can potentially do. So we do consulting for other nonprofits. So IT consulting, which I don't want to compete with your space, so I got to be quiet about that part. That's also. But then
there's plenty of room.
A lot, exactly. A lot of the opportunity comes around, we have hundreds of volunteers that come through and help out with these programs. Like it's a full community impact or a full community effort to make these programs happen. So we have people who come in and do lunch and learn. So those are people who are coming in, eating lunch with the students, telling them about their path to their, to their careers, telling them about their workplace. So people have an understanding of, what's out there. They may not have been exposed to different corporations or bigger organizations. So it's an opportunity just to expose them to the workplace. We have our Friday session. So only 80% of our curriculum is actually IT. The rest of it, so 20% of it's leadership and preparing them for interviews and getting their resume written. So all those things that you talked about, preparing them for the workforce beyond the IT services is about 20% of their educational experience. So we bring in volunteers for that as well. But then like internships, like Dave, you've been amazing with our interns and making sure that you expose them to as many things as you possibly can, and like bringing them to meetings that, it's really beneficial to them to see that part of the business, but it's not their job right now. So that's really amazing that you are willing to invest in them in that way. And we're always looking for more internship partnerships. So the internships are 5 weeks, paid internships for each of these students. And we are always looking for organizations who are willing to take on the students and give them that 5 weeks worth of experience. And then we try to work with them to make sure that they have employment opportunities afterward as well. It doesn't have to be with the internship site. If there are opportunities for employment for these students, that's always a great benefit as well. And then also just little things like changing your hiring practices. Or any organization can really take a look at their hiring practices and see if a bachelor's degree is necessary.
Right.
There's so many barriers to employment that so many folks just can't get over or don't even need to get over because we put these barriers in place that aren't necessary. So any organization can take a look at their hiring practices and remove those requirements or those hurdles that people have to get over that maybe aren't super necessary at this point. So any of those type of things are opportunities for people to engage with our students or with our organization or just changing the workforce in general.
Right. And, there's a natural evolution that's occurred. I'm a big fan of universities, but I think you're exactly right. A lot of students or people that are of a certain age group mindset, no matter where they're at in life, should also understand there are opportunities for a career in IT by pursuing it through Tech Impact or what it may be. To get those certificates and that knowledge, there is still an opportunity in life to have a very successful and prosperous career in IT without needing to go to university. Case in point, inspiration for a lot of people is my partner, my business partner. He's done very well in life. He has a couple years of university, but most of his training is on-site in a tech school with certificates and then pursuing it from there. And he's been doing it for over 20 years now.
And
cool.
Lots of people have different pathways of getting where they're going. So just making room for those paths is important.
Right. And then if people want to know more about Tech Impact, how can they learn more about Tech Impact, and how can they get in touch with someone to get involved with Tech Impact by volunteering or offering internships? What can be done?
Well, our website's just techimpact.org, and there's opportunity to put in an interest form there for volunteer opportunities. Or my email is just heidi@techimpact.org. Anybody's welcome to reach out to me, and even if I'm not the right person, I can point them that direction. There's only 115 of us in the organization, so I can find the right person if it's not me pretty quickly. So anybody's welcome to contact us either through our website or to me directly at any time.
Okay. Thanks, Heidi. I mean it. You are the best.
And no, you're the best, Dave.
Yeah, I love working with Tech Impact. I love working with you. I hope there's plenty more to come. Plenty more interns and opportunities to work together. I know there will be. It's been great. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. Red Panda thanks you for everything. I hope you have a good day.
You too, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks.